What are the common ways rejection can show up, whether it's in childhood, whether it's in adult life that you see in your world?
Yeah. So I separate the book and I really feel like there's, first of all, two different main kinds of rejections. There's internal self rejections,
Mm.
and those really show up in the ways that we criticize ourselves, the ways that we feel insecure, our lack of confidence, our lack of worthiness, the lies that we believe about ourselves, and even in ways self hatred. And a lot of those things stem from early childhood years, and they're things that were said to us or things that happened to us that implanted some sort of belief or some sort of lie that then grew through time. And we didn't know. We were young when those things happened. So we didn't have the awareness to even know that thing wasn't true, that lie, that belief isn't real about us, but we started believing it. And then through time, it's formed and shaped how we think about ourselves, potentially how we talk about ourselves, and then how we show up in our lives around us. So self rejections are very, very important to address, because without that, without addressing it, you can find any person on the planet, but they're never going to heal those self
Mm.
rejections. Like no sense of human love or human affirmation is ever going to fully conquer those your own inability to love yourself.
Mm.
So we really have to work to love ourselves first, so that we don't lose ourselves in the fate of other people and in the hands of other people, or in the hands of the world, which is very unpredictable. So that's the first area in which we really have to work through rejection, self rejections. Other ways that rejection can show up have to do with, obviously, the obvious one as we talk about dating would be heartbreak. But then there's so many others. There's abandonment, and a lot of people experience abandonment, especially early in their childhood life. And I just want to
Mm.
open up the lens here that it's not just, your dad suddenly left and you never see him again.
Mm.
It could honestly, abandonment could look like you were emotionally abandoned, or you were emotionally neglected as a child and you didn't exactly get all your needs met as a child. And that can be a sense of
Mhm.
rejection and abandonment from a very small, young age. Other forms of rejection would be things like abuse. That's one in the book I talk about that's very horrific, and that is part of my journey. We could also feel rejected through people in our lives. So, not only through dating, but through friendships, through developing community, feeling a lack of belonging. And who are we in the mid of all these other people? And so rejections ultimately, and often there's even more that we go into the book, but oftentimes they're not just the ones that happened yesterday, last month, last year. Oftentimes it's things that have happened early in your life that then get compounded by by other things that happen that then reinforce the same beliefs. And what does it all lead to? It leads to fears. It leads to really crippling fears of like, this thing cannot happen again, or else I'll die, or else I don't know if I can survive, or else this belief of me feeling unworthy will cripple me. And so we do whatever we can to mitigate those rejections from happening. But ultimately we can't mitigate any rejection from happening. But what we can do is we can heal from the ones in our past. There's so many people that are walking around with a limp.
Mhm.
And what I mean by this is they're walking around not knowing that things that have happened to them in their past are completely affecting how they're showing up in their lives today. And I think that we just need to debunk the whole faith and mental health thing, because faith, having faith, loving God, knowing the gospel is so powerful. And combining that with knowing that there are actual neurological things, psychological things happening in our bodies and in our minds, we need to know these things to be able to have tools to actually rewire our minds, actually start practically healing in a way that's more than just a Christianese form of just pray about it and it will be better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, pray about it. And we need to actually search through and heal strategically through some of these things. And it takes a lot of action, a lot of effort, a lot of consistency. And I believe doing those things, recognizing our past rejections, healing from them, can truly lead to transformation.